sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, great. And thanks a lot for joining our webinar on pharmaceutical industries costing. So before we begin, may I know whether we are all from pharmaceutical industry or from different industries, so that when we go, you can always add and you can take your feedback from us. So are we all from pharmaceutical industry, or we are from different industry? If it is different industry, it's okay, because you can understand the concepts of the process industry also through pharma, and you can get benefited based on that. So are we all from pharma industry or from different industry, or are any one of us from the pharma industry? Can we get a clarity? You can just type in the chat box from which industry you belongs to. No need to unmute or tell. You can just type in the chat box from which industry you belongs to. Okay. Sohail Manji from FMCG, Harris from packaging. Okay. Who else? Vinod, can you keep yourself on mute? Vinod? Yeah. Any more response? Abhishek from EMS. Okay. Any more? Who else are joined? Because see, if I understand from which industry you belongs to, that will be basically more beneficial for me, and to explain the concept for that. Because as of now, I have not received any of the name from the pharma industry. So even if I explain any concepts of the pharma industry, it will be difficult for you to appreciate that concepts. Who else is there? There is one more person, Mr. VP Singh. Mr. VP Singh, Mr. Vinod. Mr. VP Singh and Mr. Vinod, can you just tell me which industry you belong to? Yeah, Sohail worked previously in pharma. And what about Mr. Vinod and Mr. VP Singh? Because it is otherwise, it is just a one-way dialogue. It cannot be a two-way dialogue.
Manufacturing industry.
Just type in the chat box, Mr. Vinod and Mr. VP Singh, so that I can understand. Please type in the chat box. Okay, I think they are having some other work. Parallelly, they are not doing this. So anyway, so since we have connected, so let me just give you a brief of the pharma industry's costing. Though we are not from the pharma background, the participants. So, but still, let me just give you the a background of the pharma industry. So even if you are not from the industry, you will get some more insight about that. So this is our agenda. Overview of costing in the pharma industry, some important points in the pharma industries, key takeaway for SAP costing things, how to check the costing if it is okay or not, and question and answers. Okay. Now let me go to the overview of the costing in pharma industries. As you know, pharmaceutical industries is basically governed by the regulatory process, and basically it's a lot of disciplinary things are also there, and a lot of licensing related stuff are also there for our pharma costings. So completely driven by the you can say regulatory things. And as we understand, the process depends mainly on the like the costing practices and all that things. So in SAP, the key costing processes for pharma industries, let us understand. So these are the key practices and overview of the pharma industries. So for example, if you see the material master, so in the pharma industry, the basic material start with API, that is called active pharmaceutical ingredients. So this is the main raw material, and this is one of the complex and most complex material for the costing purpose, because it has almost 9 to 10 level of BOM with recursivity, and the joint product co-product scenarios are also there. So API is one of the most complex process in pharma industry. After that, we have excipients. Excipient is basically the material in which the API is being coated, and then semi-finished material, packing material, and then finished material. Finished material also called as formulations in the pharma industries. Then after that, we have routing and conversion cost, whereas we have work center, recipe, machine time, labor time, overhead, etc. Then different processes are also there. For example, standard costing, actual production, variance analysis, sale of FG, and reconciliation of our COGS and COGM. And then there are some special points which are purely for pharma industries. So like loan licensing means when we get the material manufactured from the vendor, so that is called loan licensing. Some physician samples, you might have seen that medical representatives, when they go to doctor, visit to doctor, they give some physician samples. So how the costing of that physician samples to be done, what is the process of the physician sampling, so that all things is one of the very special point while we are doing with the costing of the pharma industry. Then scrapping of our expired items, R&D cost, and integrated production, wherein the output of one plant is basically input of other plant, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the very special points which are basically connected to the pharma industries. Any questions by anyone as of now? Okay. Then some important points of the costing in pharma industries. So these are the some of the important points. Factoring of the normal loss percentage in the BOM for SFG and FG. Normally in pharma industries, this is one of the most important factor, wherein the yield percentage we need to build in the bill of material for SFG and FG, and particularly for the raw material consumption and all. And calculation of the conversion cost, packing cost is one of the another key important point. Then budgeted cost of production and total budgeted cost. This is also one of the very important point, because all the production actual cost of the production, cost of goods manufactured, mostly compared with the budgeted cost of production and budgeted cost of the month and YTD and all that. Then joint products and co-products for API, which I just explained in the previous slide. Then WIP calculation and reconciliation with the cost of goods manufactured. So joint products is something basically a process where one raw material meant for manufacturing 2 or 3 or 4 finished materials in the same process. There we call this as a joint products. So in some of the products in pharmaceutical chemical industry, this kind of joint product scenarios are very much applicable. So that's why without this joint product scenario, majority of the API is not being produced. So API is like that. And then batch costing. Batch costing is also one of the very important concepts for the pharma industry, but their batch is everything, because one batch for each medicine, each pharmaceutical product, each chemist products are controlled through their batch, because they trace their batch wise traceability from start to end. For all the complaints, all the costing, all the process, everything they have to go by batch wise costing. Is there any question you want to ask out of this slide? Okay. Then key takeaways from the costing point of view, multi-level costing structure with recursivity. As I explained, recursivity means input of the same material will be output of the same process. So means we are consuming the raw material as well as we are suppose if we are manufacturing a semi-finished goods and we are using the semi-finished goods in the same process. So that is called recursive in nature. So there is a process we need to handle through the some settings in the recursive nature. Then similar like values, like this is a process of joint products. Similar like values being produced from the same process. In the reconciliation of COGS, this is also one of the very important takeaway for the costing process point of view, wherein the consumption change in stock should be conversion cost, production cost should be equal to your cost of production or conversion cost. The balance of the production order should be nil, and the COGS of the finance should match with COGS of COPA. So these are the key takeaways. And the final reports should be prepared by your division, by your brand, by your market channels. So this is something which is very important from the costing point of view of SAP. There are some key takeaways. If these takeaways are there, then you can understand your costing is going in the right direction. Now, many of the times we don't know how to check whether we are doing the costings in a right way or not. So this particular slide is not necessarily for the pharma industry. This slide, maybe you can take a note of it. This slide is important for all SAP costing scenarios. So first of all, you should know whether your cost center report should show a nil balance where your all the absorption cost is being absorbed, cost booked is absorbed. Production order balance should show a nil report based on this T code. Then profitability margin report should show you give a contribution margin which is required within the acceptable range. Activity type report should show a quantity of the activity, whether it is in quantity in terms of the tonnage, kg or hours, should be in a realistic numbers for the month, YTD and all. And your FI P&L balance mostly should be reconciled with your COPA balance. And if any difference is there, then that should be explainable. So if these 5 points are there with you in any of the industry, wherever you are working, then you can always say that your costing system is okay. These are the some checks. You can maybe take a photo of the screen, and this is something very important from this costing point of view. So I have just kept a brief scenario because see, all these slides have a lot of points to discuss. If the pharma people are there, then they could have asked me n number of questions. So since I have not received any questions from the audience, so that's why these presentations ended up in a faster manner. So, but all these slides are captured a lot of concepts of the pharma industry. So I was just waiting for the questions from them. So anyway, that's okay. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can maybe close the sessions. Any questions from anyone? I think no more questions. So thank you very much for your time and for your patience listening to me. And definitely I'll be try to give more and more knowledge and inputs to you and to the industry as a whole. Thanks for your time. Thank you.